We're entering into week 8 of the National Football League season, and Ed Kleese joins me once again to make our big, bold predictions for the upcoming week and tell about the results from week 7. Ed's up in just a moment to tell us all about it.
This is the Pigskin Daily History Dispatch, a podcast that covers the anniversaries of American football events throughout history. Your host, Darin Hayes, is podcasting from America's North Shore to bring you the memories of the gridiron, one day at a time.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darin Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pig Pen, your portal to positive football history. And welcome to another Wednesday where we have our big, bold predictions, not productions. Well, it is a production, but we have our predictions during that production. Of course, Ed Kleese joins me every Wednesday to go into week 8 this week. Ed, welcome back to the Pig Pen.
Hey, Darin, I am always a production. So there you go.
Yeah, you are quite the production here. That's for sure.
Yes.
You're very high maintenance. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
yes.
Just kidding. So we had a great week of football again. I mean, when can you ever have a bad week of football?
Oh, I can. I had a really bad one, actually.
Well, I did too, but it's still better than a weekend without football. At least you get some enjoyment.
Right.
So yeah, our teams both lost this week, but there's some brighter days ahead, I think.
Well, let me explain my day real quick if I can, because
Sure.
we live in Oklahoma City, which is about a 3.5-ish hour drive to Dallas. So we went to the game yesterday. It's fairly annual, the Dallas game for us, usually if it works out. But we weren't going to make a big production out of it. So we were
was that
just
the Cotton Bowl this year? Is that what it is?
No, Jerry World.
Oh, okay,
I'm talking about you're thinking of OU Texas.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Commanders Cowboys game.
Okay. I gotcha.
Yes. So you have the hat threw you off. No, so we went down yesterday, and it was my two oldest kids and myself. And so what we do is we just drive down and back same day. So we leave at about 6:45 in the morning. We get there, we kind of hang out. There's this thing called Texas Live where you can kind of hang out, watch the early games. You go into the stadium, you get in the car afterwards, and we're home at about 11 p.m. So it is a long, long day. And my kids have now been to Jerry World three or four times, and I've been, I think, a dozen for the games over the years. And so there's nothing new or unique about this particular experience, and we're driving down and back. So the game itself is very, very important to make the day kind of worth it or not. And yesterday was so rotten. It was terrible from the start. It was bad. And it's just so, midway through the first quarter, early second quarter, I'm already thinking, oh man, I got a 3.5, 4 hour drive back. I got to work in the morning. So he's like, so you're already like stripping away the enjoyment of the day. So that's why I say it wasn't the greatest football weekend, but it's still, the drive down this time was much better than the drive back.
Yeah, I'll bet. And I guess the game wasn't very much fun either for you, and it just kept getting worse as people were dropping like flies for the Commanders.
It was rough. We'll
pretty
get to
ugly
that
watching
here in a minute. We'll get to that here in a minute. But yes, so I guess I can't totally agree that, every football day is a good football day, because I'm not sure yesterday really was.
Well, okay. Think about it in the middle of like March when you don't
There you
have
go.
NFL football, and tell me if it's a better day to have your team play and lose so you're
Yes.
watching them, or nothing at all.
See if I'm in the middle of March one of these days, I'll be thinking, you know what? I really wish I was walking back to my car getting harassed by all of the Dallas fans pointing me in the direction of the exit.
I didn't tell you
Yes,
to
I
go to
really
an away
miss that,
game.
Darin. Yeah, I really will miss that in March. All right.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's why don't you tell me? Okay, we did know about one aspect of the weekend of football. What you think? What do you think about the rest of the NFL week?
So I'd say we're hit the point where we talk about some cross-off teams, and we kind of know the teams that are legit, and we've also talked about the yo-yo effect and the week-to-week nature. But I would say this is the time of the year. It's really amazing to me how like you were just saying, how you spend all off season longing for the start of football season. I am a year-round sports fan. I'm a big baseball and basketball fan too, so that helps. But for sure, at least by mid to late July, I start to really get the pangs of wanting the routine of football season and starting to look forward to the fall, right? And then it gets there and it feels like opening day will never arrive. You're kind of slogging through the preseason. Oh, is it going to get here? Is it going to get here? And then that first day arrives, the opening Thursday, and it's all anew and everybody's got some hope. And it's amazing how fast it goes and how quickly, like, depending on who you root for, that excitement could last literally just a few weeks. I always say my favorite time of the year is from Labor Day through Thanksgiving. It's just there's a lot of personal reasons for it. We got birthdays, and I just like the weather, but it has a lot to do with football. And that Labor Day to Thanksgiving time is like my favorite two-ish, what are that, 10 weeks, whatever it is, part of the year. And I was sitting there yesterday, I'm thinking, man, we're over halfway through my favorite part of the year already. And it's just like in a flash, like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're almost at Halloween. And this is the time of the year now where I think we know some things. We know, and I kind of thought of three teams that I was like, okay, we know now. And I doubted one of them pretty much up until this point, but the Colts are for real. That's real now. Okay, they've repeated the action over and over again. Right, the offense has been good from day one. Yes, their schedule's been pretty soft, but they can't control who they play. All they can do is dominate the teams that they do play. And the one game that they lost, I don't know if should have won, but certainly could have won that game against the Rams, where Adonai Mitchell, celebrated too early and dropped the ball out of the end zone. So the Colts were definitely one. And the other one is the Patriots, for sure. At this point, that's 3 straight road wins. Again, I know we kind of talk about sometimes we touch on the wagering aspect, and there's an old saying from the gamblers that says, good teams win and great teams cover. And I think the Patriots, not only do they win all 3 of those games, they covered the spread in all 3 of those games. And that, while that doesn't necessarily matter, what does it gives it a bit of an indication of they are not only winning, but they're sort of exceeding the expectations of even the experts. And they're not falling into the pitfalls that sometimes happen to teams that are kind of coming out of nowhere. Okay, they came out of nowhere, but then they laid an egg, or they really struggled here. But so they are just ascending, and they're just continue to ascend. So,
I think the Patriots were sort of the preseason darlings of the league, I think, going into the year. And I think the Colts that you mentioned earlier, I think they've sort of taken over that, because I don't think anybody had the expectation, unless you're a Colts fan, that they were going to be at the point that they're at and winning the way they are with a high-powered offense and, everything going right from Jonathan Taylor, running through everybody. Nobody can tackle that guy. And the Patriots are sort of fallen off. And I think maybe their early season fumbles, against the Steelers, losing that game on, 5 turnovers, was Stevenson coughing up the ball every time he touched it, I think. And they sort of lost a little bit of their luster, and the Colts sort of gained some of that. But yeah, the Patriots are for real. I agree.
Yeah. And at this point, I think you hit the point where you start to say, I think it's okay to doubt them earlier. Let's see more. And they still haven't proven anything. We're still early enough to where anybody could still collapse or fall back. That's all possible. But at this point where we are, the Patriots and Colts are absolutely AFC. They're Super Bowl contenders. I mean, it might be a little bit of a long shot still, but we're far enough in now, and we've seen enough to where, yeah, of course, yeah, they're contenders. Like a little bit like we saw with the Commanders last year about this time of the year. Like, okay, I guess they're for real. I guess they're good. And so, yeah, those were the 2 that I saw kind of the ascending. And unfortunately, again, firsthand, I think we see some reality set in for my team, the opposite. Whereas maybe early in the year, you could have brushed off some of their struggles, or they're just not looking right, as okay, they're kind of getting right. And then, but now we're 7 games in. We haven't stopped any. The defense has been awful, an F- so far this year. It's been terrible. And the offense has been good, but not quite smooth like they were last year. Maybe some injuries coming into play there. So I'm just kind of sitting there watching them, and you're like, oh, they're just not the team they were last year, and we're at reality now. Their season's not over. They're not cooked. They still have some time here, but the dreams of going 12-5 in 2024 and then ascending from there to be like maybe one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league, well, that's over. They're done. I mean, that's not happening in 2025. So that reality has set in to where now they're scrambling to salvage the season. And it's just so the theme I was thinking of is like how quickly things like that can get decided in the league. And, heck, it's October 20th. And, we've got teams that have flipped the script in multiple directions.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I have a question to ask you. Okay. You have, we know the results of the Commanders against the Cowboys. Didn't feel well, I'm sure, as a Commanders fan. But would you rather have a beatdown by one of your rivals, or would you rather be in the Giants' position to give up 33 points in the fourth quarter and lose a game?
The Giants position.
Yeah,
I
you'd rather
always
Giants?
want I always want to compete. Now, yes, that no doubt the Giants fans walking out of that stadium in Denver yesterday had to have felt worse than I felt walking out of Dallas.
End of the third quarter, if you're a Giants fan, you have to be feeling really good about where you're
Well,
at
not
for
just
your
good;
team.
it's in the bag. It's over.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
put a
You
fork in them.
Yeah, and now I'm not usually I'm pretty superstitious, and I've seen enough where I'm not a yapper during the game. I'll wait till it's over. But I probably would have been spitting out some loudmouth soup if I was a Giants fan in Denver in the fourth quarter, probably. So yes, I think that's a more painful walkout for the Giants fans than for Commanders fans. However, I think Giants fans have a layer of hope wrapped in that heartbreak, okay, of what they saw. Whereas Commanders fans are walking out of the stadium feeling some level of despair and disappointment. And, like, again, the reality of, like, wow, it's not so, we're not really worried about the game at this point. We're not really worried about, oh, we lost to Dallas. It's more, wow, we're just not as good as I thought we would be.
Well, but I'm sitting there thinking, if you look at all the circumstances involved in it, Commanders, you go in with your top three receivers, they're not playing. Your quarterback gets hurt, what, third quarter or end of the
Yes.
beginning of the fourth quarter. Sees that. So you lost your four top weapons on offense, basically. You have no chance of scoring probably at that point. It's a crapshoot anyway. It's not the guaranteed with the offense the way they played last year. But the Giants, they're going full strength, I believe. I don't believe anybody got injured in that game. And, they competed, and they weren't expected to do much against Denver, but they did. They had Denver, they had them on the ropes and were, sucker punching them, and they just lost all that. And it really has to take your wind out of your sails.
I think a Giants fan. I think 24 hours later, 48 hours later, I think ultimately you feel pretty good. I think you feel good about. You don't feel good about the outcome of the game, but I think you feel good about where you're at, and you certainly feel good about your young quarterback, and that's the most important thing. So yes, that's a historic gut punch loss, and it probably whatever hopes the Giants may have had of like legitimately entering the playoff race this year, that probably was killed in Denver. But I still would say I would rather my team go out like that than just be non-competitive the way mine was, and kind of leave you thinking, well, maybe they just stink.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Uh, I'll tell you what, some of my feelings for the week have been like reconfirmed. There are a few teams that I just don't trust anymore because I don't really know who they are, because I don't think they know who they are. And that's teams like the Vikings. I don't know who the Vikings are. I thought they were a pretty good team coming in based on what they did last year in the beginning of the season. They looked pretty sharp. I don't know who they are right now. Because I'm uncomfortable with them. And then you got the Chargers. Chargers have some vast injuries, and there's some reasons for it, but I don't really know who the Chargers are anymore. I don't know if they're a good team. I don't know if they're a bad team. I'm not sure what they are. I'm not sure if they're a playoff team. And I lost a little bit of trust in a couple of those teams.
I think I've got an answer for both of them. The Chargers, I would say I agree with you. I'm a little it's a little confused, and really it's sort of kind of Herbert. It's sort of I can never quite figure where I think he's really good, but why don't they win more? And it's kind of it's a little confusing, and I'm kind of with you on that. I do think the injuries are hurting, but also they give up 38 points yesterday. So you're at home and you get run over. So it
And,
really wouldn't
and,
have mattered what the
and
offense did.
Herbert's taken a beating. I mean, I'm surprised the
Right,
guy's still standing. He is
right.
getting killed the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you about the Chargers and I think that's a great term is lack of trust. I think I do know who the Vikings are. The Vikings are a really good team with a black hole at quarterback. That it's kind of the reverse of some other teams. Maybe they're almost like the reverse of the Chargers. um, you know, Wentz. I was watching that game at the little area before we went into the stadium. Obviously, rooting for the Vikings to beat the Eagles. Wentz is terrible. Like he is so bad. Like maybe on paper those numbers weren't that bad, but there were so many plays to be made in that game. They kicked 5 field goals, and they were like red zone field goals. So they were moving the ball pretty well. They were getting down. He could not make the big play or the big throw. And he turned it had at least two huge turnovers too.
Well, 2 times in the red zone, they were inside the 10 on the one, and they lost like 30 yards on that snap over his head, and
Right.
the guy had to kick a 50-some-yard field goal when it should have been a chip shot, or maybe they score a touchdown on the play if they
He's
execute.
frantic. He's frantic. He like I don't know if he doesn't see it or panic sets in or I don't know. Obviously you'd have to be a quarterback guru to kind of like decipher why he's making some of the decisions he's making back there, or really all of his stops now. Since his high point in 2018 with the Eagles, or was that 17? I can't remember 17 or 18. Um, they all of his stops. They've given up on him very quickly, and really, and at this point, the Vikings they've got some answering to do because this is their choice. They drafted McCarthy, they had Darnold, and they let him walk. I actually approved of that, I guess you could say.
They let Daniel Jones walk.
They let Daniel Jones walk. And now they've got this Wentz thing, maybe with this weird soft benching of McCarthy with this like never-ending ankle sprain. That's odd. So yeah, I think I do know who the Vikings are, and that's a good team with a good defense, a lot of offensive weapons, not a great offensive line, and then a really, really lot of trouble at quarterback there. So obviously you're just totally limited in whatever the ceiling there, unless McCarthy turns around when he comes back.
I think Wentz can operate in space. I mean, he was definitely moving the team down the field. I mean, I think every drive, I can't think of, maybe they had one or two 3-and-outs with me watching it, but he was continually moving them down into the red zone. It's when he got in those tight spaces, the defense is, in his face a little bit more. They're not giving him 30-yard cushions. He has trouble fitting a ball inside a small target, and that's
Yeah,
where he panics, I think, a little bit.
yeah, it was frustrating to watch as someone who was pulling for the Vikings. And I'm sure for their fans it was tough. Good job by Hurts. Also, he made some really big throws in the
Oh
game.
my gosh! And AJ
Yep,
Brown. I mean, all
yep,
the Eagles, they played really well, and
yep.
defense came up with big plays when they needed to, and got them out of that game. So, all right. So there's our thoughts from last week. So, what do you got to say about how we did last week?
All right, so we've got. It was not good. It was not good. Now, first of all, we have to come clean. We are recording this a day earlier than usual. So we usually record on Tuesdays, but due to a personal conflict, I was not able to this week. So we had to record early on Monday. So we're actually recording it during this first Monday night game. So one of my picks and two of your picks are not going to get graded on this podcast. We will add them to the total.
I'll take that as a victory for me.
There you go. We will add them ultimately to the total. So if you will get your points if you get them. We just aren't going to talk about them. So we'll start, I guess, with me. Let's start with the one that I got right, And it was a big right. It was a big right, and you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. And that is the Bengals not only playing well against the Steelers, but winning the game outright. Now, I did say it was going to be kind of ugly and low scoring, and that was the opposite. That I will say, that's easily top five most entertaining games of the NFL season so far. The two old men going at it was really fun, and it was great. It was really good theater. The end of the game was fantastic. That throw, man, Rodgers can still spin it.
70 yards in the air. My
It's
God, I didn't think he had it in
unbelievable.
him.
It's incredible, man, the way that guy can throw the football. So that
I,
was a
I,
lot of
I was
fun.
I was almost thinking maybe they should put Mason Rudolph in to try to get, because he's got a live arm just to get down there. But I mean, Rodgers exceeded my expectation with that throw.
And you know what I told you last week is I said there's got to be a reason that the Ravens are still not that far behind in the Vegas odds to win the division of the Steelers. I said something's gonna happen, and I think that's what happened because now the Steelers' schedule gets really tough. They drop a game against the team that was really struggling, so they are still in control, but it definitely cracks the door for not only the Bengals but the Ravens as well.
And yeah, maybe even the Browns. The Browns play like their defense has played well all
Let's
year. They have no
let's pump the
offense.
brakes, Darin, on the
Hey,
Browns.
hey, I'm just saying, no, they're actually ahead of the Ravens right now.
They
They have
are.
more,
They
they have
are.
twice as many wins as the Ravens right now.
They are. Anybody out there that wants that we're talking about Vegas, anybody out there that wants some Browns to win the division action, just send them my email. Okay. We'll set that up. I'd be happy to
Okay.
oblige. So that was the good one for me, but the three zeros, gosh, and they were kind of big zero. Oh, I'll say this. I'm gonna get a zero, speaking of the Browns, on Mike McDaniel getting fired. I said the losing coach of the Browns Dolphins game would get fired. And as that game unfolded, I was like, I am going to nail this because not only are the Dolphins losing this game, they are getting destroyed. It's raining. Tua's throwing the ball all over the place to the other team. The Dolphins they're not even competing. Okay, this is horrible. They're not going to let him on the plane back to Miami. And they did. And he was in his press conference today talking about how Tua is still the starter. And the Dolphins, I guess, kind of announced that they're not making any changes. And it leads me to an interesting thought or conversation because it's something similar happening in our team. Everybody wants our defensive coordinator, Joe Witt, to be fired, including a good friend of mine named Eric. And Eric is all over me in the texts about how we have to fire Witt. I don't even know if I can watch this defense anymore. This is absurd. And I'm a little pushed back on it. And because I think the thing is, I'm not a big fan of the sacrifice firing, and maybe going back to Miami, maybe they just don't think that there's anybody in house that's going to do any better or help them turn the season around, or maybe they don't really want to turn the season around at this point. Maybe they've just decided, okay, we're 1-6. This is miserable. We don't have anybody on staff that we think is going to replace McDaniel long term, right? Um, and we'll also assume that McDaniel isn't a total disaster behind the scenes where he's like, undermining the development of young players and yada, yada, yada. So maybe they don't want to. Maybe they just say, you know what? This is going to stink. We got 10 more games left. Let's just get it over with. We'll fire him at the end of the year, and be done with it. And I think the same thing for like the Commanders and their defensive coordinator, that there's so many pitchforks online because we want to sacrifice. We are the bloodlust to get our frustrations out for this lousy start. And part of me thinks, well, okay, but what if there's nobody else on staff that's really going to do anything differently? Our head coach is a defensive minded head coach. Hopefully he's already sharing his input. If anybody had any answers, I'd like to think they'd step up and answer it for them. So I'm not a big fan necessarily of the in-season firing unless you have some super duper, insubordination or something where like somebody's just destroying things behind the scenes.
Or like you say, you have an heir apparent that can be an interim coach on staff, and I don't know that the Dolphins do. I don't know who
Right.
their
I don't know either. And then the
coordinators are,
thing,
but I don't think they have anybody that I know of.
And I think what didn't Dennis Allen get fired in the season last year for the Saints and Rizzi there, and so what did that accomplish, right?
Right.
Did the Saints advance anything? Did we learn anything from that? No, it didn't hurt either. It's fine, but it's this fist pounding the table of the fist. If we got to do it in the season, they're done, they're done, they're done. And yes, I think everybody wants accountability, right? Mike McDaniel is going to get fired at the end of this year. Okay, I mean it's going to happen. And maybe you think, all right, if we know we're going to do it, let's just do it. But sometimes, you know what? We're stuck in the middle of the season. Somebody's got to suffer through it. Well, we're paying him to do it. So let's just let him do it. I think
Right.
that's kind of the kind of the thing. And so while I have been predicting the Mike McDaniel will get fired for the last like 3 weeks, I guess I should stop because it appears he will not, and maybe the Dolphins are actually better for it.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. So that's a zero, as well as I had the Broncos winning. However, I'm going to get a fat zero for that because I said their defense would dominate. They'd win the game by 7+, and they'd hold the Giants to 17 or less. None of those things happened. It was the most wild game in the history of like the league in some ways, the most crazy fourth quarter. I completely swung and missed on it. I was completely off. So that's a zero, even though I could have maybe shaved a point there for myself because the Broncos did win, but I
Yeah.
won't.
You probably could have, but
Nah,
man,
nah, nah,
it's
nah.
fun watching those young guys for the Giants. So Scattaboo, and he's
Yeah,
just amazing. He's a horse.
no doubt about it. And then so another zero would be the Chargers beating the Colts. Well, they didn't, and it wasn't particularly close either. So with one pending, I racked up a grand total of 2 points this week. And that's going to tie you going into these Monday night games because you are definitely going to get your 2 points for the Browns finally scoring 20 or more points, and they did it in the rain and the muck. And so a pat on the back to you there for
Ju-
getting that.
The running game, oh, that's
They
Judge
did,
things just
yes.
went off.
Yep. Well, we didn't put any qualifiers on it, so you
Right.
got that one. And then, hopefully you've learned your Jets lesson at this point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I think
what
I'm
a
crossing them
disaster.
off with you.
What a disaster. That is
Oh,
so bad. I don't know how it gets any better. It's just terrible. It's sad.
I think that's what makes McDaniel's down in Miami feel better. Just thinks about Aaron Glenn's position he's in.
At least I'm not Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, at least I got
Well,
two
I mean,
wins.
I'm in Miami with my capri pants.
Right.
It's not
Right.
so bad. So zero for you on that one, and also zero. You had another really big miss, I guess, is
Yeah.
overseas. There, you had the Jags over the Rams,
Oh my God.
and gosh, it just makes me. I love the boy genius. I love Sean McVay. He's my favorite coach in the league. He's just so smart, and the team is so well put together. That's just a lot. I'm a little jealous sometimes watching the Rams. That's a really easy team to root for. They maximize everything they have.
But I figured knowing Puka was hurt last week, I figured going in and he didn't play. But oh my God, they didn't miss a beat. They were on fire with the guys that they had out there in the field and just looked fantastic.
Adams was
They're a
awesome.
contender.
Oh yeah, great job. Yeah, they were great. They were great. So you also got 2 points this week. So I stay 1 point ahead in the total. However, again, I have one pick pending for Monday. You have two. So it's possible still that you would round chase me down.
Oh, I'm
So
confident. I'm confident in my two
yeah.
picks for
So
Monday.
we'll see. Well, we can start next week by doing a quick update on where we stand in the standings. But
Okay.
I am ready to move on to our bold predictions for this week if you are.
I am ready, and I think you have the first choice this week, I
All
believe.
right, so I've got a bit of a theme going in all of my picks except one. So I'll start with the one that kind of sticks out as being a little bit different. Um, I hesitated on this one, but I'm going to go with the Ravens coming off of the bye and getting back on track, hosting the Bears and winning that game by 10 or more points. That smile tells me that maybe we're aligned here, possibly.
Uh, I think you're looking over my shoulder here
I
because I also picked the Ravens by 10 plus, and I said it's going to be a big embarrassment in Baltimore.
oh boy,
Baltimore's
yikes.
back on track. Lamar's coming into play, I believe. They're going to have, getting some people back, had the bye week to rest up. And I too think it's a 10-point game.
All right. Well, we're up. Well, this is dangerous. This is extra dangerous then. Now that we're both thinking alike on that one. I also think we talked about in past weeks that they're catching Chicago at the right time. Bears have won four in a row. They're facing a desperate and rested Ravens team. It's a little bit of a bad mix here. And obviously, if the game goes the other way, then now maybe we kind of add the Bears to that category of the Colts and the Patriots as a real team. I'm not ready yet with the Bears to say this is a real team. But if they go into Baltimore and win, then we're gonna have to talk about
I
it.
will gladly give up my 2 points if the Chicago wins that game.
Oh, there you go. I'm sure you will. You sure you will. So, oh, guys, I guess right back to me because we've already both picked one. So
Right.
now I'm going to start with my little bit of a theme here, and maybe the NFL fans at large are going to hope I'm wrong because all of my picks are focused around lower scoring defensive efforts. So we're going to start in Philly, where the Giants and the Eagles play again after that game from Thursday from 2 weeks ago. And because of the familiarity, and I think the defense is settling in, I think those two teams are going to combine for 40 or fewer points. I do think Philly wins this time. The Giants sweeping the Eagles and over the course of 3 weeks, the second one on the road seems like a little bit too of a dream scenario. So I'll say the Eagles win, but that it's a low scoring game, and the teams combine for 40 or fewer.
Okay, interesting pick. I think, I didn't pick on this game, but I think the Eagles are starting to click. The passing game looked fantastic, I think, yesterday. Those receivers they got, Hurts is putting balls in buckets. And I think Saquon Barkley has been awfully quiet the last couple weeks. He's about ready to explode. He's too talented to be kept bottled up by too many teams. And I think that offense is one of these weeks we're going to walk out and they're going to put like a 40 or 50 burger on somebody, and it could be this week.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully we stay at 40 or under.
Maybe they'll wait for the
So,
Commanders. Who knows?
there you go. All right. So what do you got?
All right. Well, I told you I don't trust the Vikings or the Chargers, and they play each other this week. So I don't know that I even want to pick a winner in this. And as much as I do, because I fear that Herbert's going to get hit so much, and but I am going to pick a winner. I'm going to take the Vikings are going to take a W on the road and win this, but I really fear for Herbert. They got to do something to do a little bit more chipping. Both their tackles are on their second, third stringers on there, and they're getting no help out there. And they're going to get bombarded by the Chargers pass rush unless they, or I'm sorry, by the Vikings pass rush unless they do something. But I think the Vikings are going to win this one on the road.
You should have predicted a tie. That would have been very bold
Yeah,
there.
that would have been real bold, but I'm
There
not
you
that
go.
bold. I'm not that
All
bold.
right. Well, I'm going to move on to Houston, where the 49ers and their sort of gritty, gutty, weekly traveling party they're going to struggle in Houston. That Texans defense is really good. And the Texans are going to beat the 49ers on Sunday, and they're going to hold San Francisco to 17 or fewer.
Okay. Well, I picked in this game too, similar pick. I think the Texans are going to shut down the McCaffrey Express that we saw, just the past couple days here, and they're going to win in a close one at home over the Niners. I think it's going to be a close game, but yeah, I think the Texans are going to hold out and take this one.
Okay. And then you got the Texans, and I've got them specifically on a number. All right. So now we're going to go back to the Browns. Let's talk about the Browns some more. They're in New England this week, taking on the, again, red hot Patriots. And I do think that we are going to get our first small little speed bump for the Patriots. They're going to find a way to win it. They're going to win the game, but it's going to be very close, and they will not score more than 20 points on that Cleveland defense. It's going to be a good day for the Cleveland defense. They're going to frustrate May. Their Cleveland offense will not have enough to get it done, but we're going to say a close win for the Patriots over the Browns, but they will not score more than 20.
Well, I went into this game too, and I agree with you. It's going to be a close one, but I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to put the boldness into this one. I'm going to say the Browns are going to produce 4 turnovers against the
Whoa.
Patriots, but they're going to lose the game late.
Okay.
Drake May is going to figure out a way to win this, but they're going to have give up the ball 4 times.
4 times. Well, that's okay. Well, we'll see whose explanation of the close win is better. I guess that's what we're basically predicting. So my last one, we're going to end back in your neck of the woods, and you better hope that I'm not, reading the tea leaves very well here, because I'm predicting that the Packers on Sunday night in Pittsburgh, they're going to. I'm going to throw two things at you. The Packers are going to win the game. They're going to sack Rodgers 4 or more times, and they're going to hold the Steelers to 20 or less. So, in other
Ooh.
words, it's going to be a rough day for the Steelers offense. I think I've seen a few. The one thing about the Rodgers looks great throwing the ball, but he definitely does not move the way he used to. And the Packers have a good defense. They have a very good pass rush. Parsons kind of went off on Sunday. And I think maybe he's going to get his groove. And I think that is a bad matchup for Rodgers specifically when teams can really come off the edge. So I think the Steelers might be entering a time of struggle, at least for a few weeks. And I think they're gonna lose Sunday night. They're gonna get sacked 4 more times, and they're not going to score more than 20.
I can see all those things happening. And I did not pick this one, but I really thought about this long and hard. And I even had it jotted down as maybe being my extra. I was going to pick one, I thought about changing one of mine and bringing this in. I was going to say that, Micah is going to have a better game than TJ Watt, and that Love is going to have a better game than Rodgers, but the Steelers are going to win the game. But
Oh, okay.
but I don't trust picking my own team because I'm too close
It's
to him.
hard.
Too close.
It's
Too
hard.
close.
Too close.
That's right. I don't want to pick disaster either. But
There you go.
yeah, that's an interesting pick. I can see what you're saying. It
I
could
am
come true.
sometimes a believer in the reverse jinx.
Yeah, I was
So there
hoping
you
it would happen last week too. It almost
go.
did.
There you go.
Almost did. And they just scored too fast. The Fryermuth
Right.
should have fell down
Right.
at the 5 yard line or something. So, so not at the end there. All right. Well, my final pick is I'm going to go with a team that I do trust and a team we talked quite a bit about, and that's the Colts. I'm going to go not so much that they're going to beat the Titans because I think they're going to beat the Titans. I don't think anybody's going to pick the Titans in this game, but I'm going to go with some bold predictions. I'm going to say Jonathan Taylor goes 150 yards plus in rushing, scores 2 TDs, and I'm going to even cap that off a little bit more and say that Daniel Jones throw for at least 3 TDs and 225 yards plus.
So basically, you're predicting that the Colts dominate the Titans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I could say it
But
like that and it
no,
doesn't sound so great, but I had to put something in there so
that was
he could beat
that
me
was
down a little bit.
yes, you have some specific numbers to back it up. So I think we can count it. I
So
think we can
so
count
so I was soft on my first 3 picks and just picked
it. Okay.
W's, but my last two I really tried to get more specific and give those 4 turnovers to the Brownies and Taylor and Daniel Jones with their numbers.
There you go. There you go. Well, we are actually hitting the road again next week. It just so happens that the team closest to us to the north is where the Commanders play next. So, for better or worse, we're headed to Arrowhead next Monday night, which
Ooh.
will be a new experience for my kids. I've been once to a Chiefs or Commanders game back there, but 20 years ago in 2005. So I'm looking forward to at least the experience. It's not shaping up to be the greatest setup for our team, but we'll be there.
Hey, you never know what could happen. I've seen a lot of times where teams go in injured and, not playing at their best full strength and go against somebody full strength. Cincinnati last week, you're
Yep.
missing your starting quarterback, you're missing your best pass rusher, and you beat the team that's 2 or 3 games ahead of you. So you never know. Any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever,
Well, it's
it
the
could
way
happen.
it's the way the emotional roller coaster of fandom works. Walking out of one stadium on Sunday evening, basically convincing myself that our season is over, we'll never win another game, and I should probably find a new hobby. And then by the time I'm walking into the stadium on Monday night, I probably will have convinced myself that we're going to find a way to win and maybe go all the way to the Super Bowl. So that is the emotional ascension and descension from descending from one week to the next. So and I'm passing this along to my kids so they can all hate me for it later.
Okay, in that case, I will not say anything to you about how good the Chiefs look with getting all their receivers healthy, as you have no receivers, and how bad your secondary look. I won't mention any of that. So
yeah, we won't mention the fact
have
that
fun
they
at
won 30.
Arrowhead.
They had as many points as they had the Raiders had like what three. I read somewhere that somebody said they watched the all 22 of the Raiders offense and every play, and it took them 4 minutes and 3 seconds to get through the entire game. So yeah, so can't wait.
Yeah. Hey, you can't get any lower than yesterday, right? At least you're not playing your arch rival.
That's true.
Yeah. There you go. All right, Ed. Well, that's another great week of picks. We'll finish up, I guess, week 6, right, or week 7 next week with the results. Get our week 8 results and pick week 9 back next Wednesday. So, Ed, can't wait to talk to you again, and enjoy your week and enjoy your trip.
Thanks, Darin. Have a great week.
That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.